Welcome to Deed and Truth, where we're talking about loving God and loving others, not just in words, but also in actions. But the Bible is the source and standard of truth. I am Tommy Morse, and as always, I've got Scott Vitro and Sean Schomer in the studio with me today. Hello, fellas.
Hey, what's up?
How y'all doing this week?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Good. The year is coming to an end.
I know. It's been a quick but action-packed year. Yeah.
Yeah?
For me anyway.
Gone by quick for you, Sean?
Yeah, it's gone by pretty quick.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I feel like it's gone fast. But yeah, I feel like there's been a lot. There's been a lot that's happened this year. So what we want to do on this episode is just look back at 2022 and talk a little bit about the podcast, the changes that we've had, and just a little bit about what God's done in each of our lives for this year, and just kind of brag on God. That's what we do, right?
Sweet. Favorite topic.
Yeah. So the podcast itself, I'll share updates on the podcast. The podcast got started last year, end of 2021, rolled into the first part of 2022. And, it was great. I was having the opportunity to interview different people on different topics. And then honestly, life just got crazy busy after the spring. And I went on a 6-month hiatus where I did not record or release any episodes, and kind of got back into the swing of the mix after summer. And that's when Sean joined me to share his testimony, which if you have not heard, go back and listen to that. So powerful testimony, and looking forward to recording more with you, Sean, on some of the different topics that came out of your testimony.
That's right.
Yeah. And so during that recording, we're sitting there, and I said, I'd wanted a co-host, but I couldn't get anybody to co-host with me. And Sean was like, oh, I'll co-host. This would be cool. And I was like, really? Like, you don't really like to talk? And he's like, well, this is different, right? Like, it's just us. We're talking, right?
Yeah.
Not in front of 10,000 people or anything.
Yeah, I'm just talking into a microphone in a room.
Yeah. So
talking with my buddies.
Yeah. So Sean joined the podcast, and then, no sooner does he commit to join the podcast, and then he gets sent out of town for work. So we had a hurricane in South Florida, and he got sent out. And so that's when, Scott, you came on to guest host as we went through the 5 solas.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm here. I was just supposed to fill in for Sean. And they're like, hey, you want to stay?
You just did such a good job that we couldn't just put you back on the bench.
Right. Yeah, we're like, well,
I doubt that.
You're here already.
I wanted you front and center.
Yeah.
No, you just wanted another introvert up here with you.
Yes.
Yeah, 2 introverts, 1 extrovert. It balances out, right?
Yes.
So Scott came on and guest host for a couple, and then we started talking about doing one together. We were going to record on the Zambia thing, and Scott was going to interview us. And then from that, I just talked to Scott about whether he'd be interested in joining as well. We all like hanging out. We all like talking about life and talking about scripture, and Scott said he was down, and so now the trio was formed, and we've got a few under our belt together now, and we're gonna keep on pressing along. But those were some big changes. From a 6-month hiatus to me getting 2 co-hosts to roll with me on this venture has been pretty cool, and thankful for you guys coming along this ride with me.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking me outside my comfort zone.
Yeah, same here. This has been it's been challenging. It's been very fruitful. It's been good. So really enjoyed this.
Yeah, man. So that's been kind of the updates with the podcast itself, and we'll do another episode where we're going to talk about, what's to come. But just to keep looking at 2022, we want to talk a little bit about just what God's done in our lives. So which one of you introverts wants to go first?
Scott does.
Nice. Well played.
I don't know who's more introverted because you answered first. So does that make me more introverted?
Ooh, conundrum.
I don't know. This year has been wild, but God is just always so good through things. Not just his patience with me and my family, but just seeing how he's grown us. Dude, the beginning of the year, we basically had a death and a wedding at the very similar time. So went out to see sister-in-law get married, and then father-in-law passed away, and then we moved houses, which you guys both helped us move. And since then we've had a few different foster kids in our home, and some pretty wild stories there. A lot of ups and downs. And I actually got a new job this year too. So if I really just started thinking about stuff that's happened this year, it's been a lot of big changes, but one thing that hasn't changed obviously is God and my church family. I'm super, super thankful for that. But I mean, this has been a year of growth. It's been a year of trying to, figure out different stages with my kids. My wife and I actually had our 10-year anniversary this year. So it was another big thing. So very thankful to God for that as well. When we got married, I think people were taking bets about like how quick, we were going to split up. But so anyway, that was definitely a brag on God. 10 years in the making this year. And I started playing drums at church. That took me out of my comfort zone a lot, since I haven't played since high school, really. So, but it's been a year of like strengthening friendships, of going through some really hard stuff in foster care, growing our marriage, and just figuring out who I am. I'm 35, but like I still feel like what am I gonna be when I grow up one day? Sometimes, and it's been a good year for that. So I feel the season of foster care is hopefully coming to a close for us, and then I'm excited to see what God does with our family after that, so.
Yeah. And along those lines, you also kind of got linked up with Care Portal for foster care as well, right? And kind of starting to move beyond just fostering kids into other aspects of kind of leadership and training and helping others.
Yeah, and that's really what I'm hoping for, is we can move more into like mentorship or support role, for foster families. But the Care Portal is cool. It's like an app that connects, like local churches in the county with needs, for foster kids, and they can, either buy it, build it, make it, whatever, and go meet that need in the community. It's really cool. So we're going to be the admins for that for our church.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Help us get connected.
So when you talk about all those things, man, is it crazy to think like, oh, that all happened this year? Because I feel like when you start talking about things like that, you're like, that was this year too? Like sometimes those things could feel so far away.
Yeah, especially when they're like, really big events and stuff too. And sometimes you just honestly forget about them. I think part of it's just like our season of life right now. My oldest is 11, so we're kind of like in this like middle parenting phase right now. But I mean, maybe it's just me, but I still feel kind of like my time is jacked up from like COVID and, just the country going crazy and, just all the stuff that's happened over the past couple of years. I still feel like I'm like recouping, time from that, because I feel like it just like stopped time for a while. It just seemed like Groundhog's Day every day. Ridiculous, but I mean, it's been a lot this year. I feel like it's been a lot of catch up, a lot of sanctification, a lot of growth and stuff like that. But it's been amazing how fast it's gone. And I don't know, like I've heard older people say that like the older you get, it's, the faster time seems to go. And I don't know if like part of that's like getting a little bit older.
So this year went by way faster for me than for either of you then.
I don't know. Is that true? No, I'm talking like, elderly people.
No, I've heard that. Yeah. That's cool. Sean, man, what about you for this year? You've had a few things happen, here and there.
Yeah, one or two. I was thinking about it. I actually went through like a company change. It seems like that was not this year, but I mean, just my company got bought out by another company, or my old one shut the doors or whatever, and I was able to just keep moving on the same job. I just took off my old shirt, put on a new shirt, and got a new logo on the side of the truck, and
a new truck.
Yeah. And but still working on the same jobs. There was a lot of like insecurity in that. A lot of people were worried about that, but it transitioned pretty nicely. And we went to Zambia this year.
Yeah, we did.
Like it seems like that was such a long time ago. But went to Zambia. That was pretty cool. And then
anything about a special person in your life that you can think of?
Let me think. I got engaged this year.
What?
Yeah, what? Yeah, so through your wife Shara, kind of like playing
matchmaker.
Yeah, playing matchmaker. Met Brittany and started talking to her in May and got engaged. We got engaged this month. Like, it feels like that was months ago.
All right.
But it was November 5th. It was this month.
Are you serious?
When I proposed to
It does feel longer ago.
it
Feels like old news now.
Yeah, time is weird. Yeah, started talking into a microphone on a podcast.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah, and both of you have done some teaching as well recently, which I know is going to continue. Actually, it's going to continue over these next couple of weeks because you're both on the docket to teach over the next 2 weeks. So I'm excited to see how God continues to use you both in that. But that's been another cool thing, Sean, especially for you.
Not for me, just for you.
Yeah.
Well, I think you teaching, you know of it. I don't know if you were taught before, but I think I assumed you had.
Oh.
So I think I assumed you had, but I knew it was new territory for Sean, so. Yeah.
That's been fun too. Speaking in a room full of people is my number one fear. I don't like that. I dropped out of college because they wanted me to talk in a room full of people, and I went to trade school because I didn't want to do that.
Fair enough.
And so I've stepped into like doing that every once in a while.
Look, Sean's a minimalist, so Scott, is there anything else in Sean that you remember? I don't, but just in case, because.
No, I mean, I'm trying to think of like big stuff.
Me too. Those are probably the three biggest ones, right? Zambia, the new job, and getting engaged. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about like, details and just like little stuff God's done for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like for me, I mean, probably one of the bigger ones for me just personally was getting, because I mean, not only did I like, switch jobs, I got a work from home job. And dude, like, I was applying for jobs for like a year and a half, trying to get out of my situation. And when we moved here, I didn't mind commuting because when we were in California, I was commuting almost an hour and a half each way. And so coming here, and it was like, oh, the commute's only an hour. And like the first couple months it was okay, but then after a while, driving out here on the 98 and everything, it's an hour to get home. And it was just like, dude, this is 2 hours of my day that's just gone, every day. And the way the job market was going, I feel like maybe I kind of caught the tail end of it, but a lot of companies have gotten a lot more lenient on remote work and stuff like that, and it's just super blessed, man. Because I mean, it's not just like the personal time, like the commute. It's just like the overall stress level, and honestly, it's awesome being able. I mean, sometimes it gets really noisy, but it's really awesome being able to like step out and have a cup of coffee and hang out with the family, or have lunch with them, or just kids can run in there and, Daddy, I drew this picture, check it out or whatever. And it's just really sweet and cool. And
it's cool too because you gain 2 hours of your day back to do other things around the house, like, or be with your family. That's super cool.
And I mean, the minute I'm done with work, dude, I mean, it's just like, throw on a t-shirt, go outside, do projects, whatever, go somewhere. And it's been awesome. So yeah, I mean, I guess like from like a material standpoint, like that's been a huge blessing just because of the family time and, just being able to spend more time with them and not, be so tired when I get home and just mentally exhausted and everything, has been really, really awesome.
Yeah, that's super cool, man. So similar to you guys, I mean, one of my big things for 2022 was I changed companies as well. I think Sean, you changed right before we went to Zambia, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't even think about that. We all three.
Yeah, all three of us changed companies this year.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I guess part of my brag on God was that like I had vacation time at my old company, and then was like, all right, I'm gonna take this time off, and then I swapped companies and had no vacation time, and I was like, well, I'm probably not gonna be able to go, and it worked out where I got 2 weeks off, paid off work, which I was prepared to, take off without pay, but I got, PTO, paid time off to go to Zambia. So that was cool, even right after a transition.
Yeah, that was a huge blessing for a new company to give you that. Because I knew you were like, I don't even know if I'm going to get off now. And then it was, well, I might, but I'm not going to get paid for it. And then you're like, oh, they agreed to pay me. Like, this is super cool.
That's right. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's neat. Yeah, I started mine actually. So we got back from Zambia on a Sunday, and I started my new company that Tuesday. So I drove that Monday night to Atlanta after getting back and all the travel. I just didn't have enough travel, so I thought a good 6-hour drive the next day was, just
and you got
a good idea.
Call. You were driving back from like Tennessee or something. You got a phone call and then diverted towards Atlanta.
Yeah, that was like a month before we left for Zambia. Yeah, I was coming back from Tennessee for work, and I was talking to the guy, and he's like, "Well, just take a detour over here to Atlanta and let's talk." So I did, and then that led to me being able to start a new job. So it just, the timing of it worked, where the Friday before we left was my last day at my old company, and then the Tuesday when we got back, I started the new company, and still in the same field, addiction and mental health rehab, but that's been good. And I'm trying to think, what other major changes this year?
I mean, you had the business that you handed off too, right?
Oh yeah, thanks. So we did start a business at the end of 2021 and really kicked it off at the start of 2022. And then it just got to a point where it looked like we weren't going to be able to keep it open, and we were praying a lot about it. And then there was another counselor. It was a counseling and wellness center, and there was another counselor who needed employees, needed a office space because their rent was getting jacked up so high. And we had a pretty good rate at our place, and it just worked out for us to basically hand it off. So she took over the office, our counselor went to work for her, and it was hard for us to think about handing off a business after a year of it being open, but afterwards we were able to see very clearly why God allowed it, what we learned from having it. That was a big change for us. And I mean, going to Zambia also was one of the big ones for us. I mean, that was something that my wife, Helena, and my oldest daughter, Joyce, were able to go with us. And so, we went on that trip as well. And I'd say that's probably one of the big things for 2022 was that trip, and it being a big part of us praying about moving to Zambia. And so we are recording this prior to the decision that will come down, but here in a couple weeks, we will have interviewed with the board, and there will be a vote on whether or not we are going to be going to Zambia as missionaries. And so by the time this gets released, that decision will probably be made, and we'll release updates and things of that nature. But that's a big, I think, praying through moving to Zambia and that trip have been a big part of 2022 for us as well. And then, you guys coming on and joining the podcast and us continuing to grow this have been the other big things. We have a couple other things that we're working on, the Daily Berean website, where we're working together to put Bible studies out for people. That's been another new thing that I had on my heart that you guys have joined in on, and we're working on together. So I'm excited about that. So I think just a lot of just ministry kind of opportunities have really presented themselves this year, and it's just been excited to see, what God's done and what God has done and where it's all headed.
Yeah, I mean, it's always hard to you think of it in the moment as like a door closing, like handing off the business. But I mean, thinking back, like, would you have had time to do, the podcast and everything else that
definitely not,
God's been leading you to, if you're still trying to do that, and I think sometimes that's God's grace too, being like, this is a good thing, but it's not right now, and like, I want you to focus.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you said that, because it really is. It's like, in our minds, like, this is such a good thing, like a counseling wellness center, like that we're promoting. It's Christ-centered, like we want to do biblical counseling. Like, that's a good thing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what God wants us to do. Like, we're not necessarily called to do every good thing that presents itself as an opportunity for us. Like you were talking about, in an earlier episode, Sean, about, that we're one body, but we all have different giftings, and so we're not all called to do the same things. And so in that same sense, something may be good, but it may not be what God has. And there's no way, like the Daily Berean stuff and all the study that goes into putting the Bible studies together, and looking to do some new things with the podcast, with how much I travel with my current company, like there's no way keeping the wellness center up something was going to have to give, so it was a blessing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's God looking out for you for burnout too. You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's also a test too, because, you know, a lot of times when we invest our time and talent and energy into something and then it's, you know, kind of like a no, you know, I mean, I've done this before, you know, you can be prideful and be like, well, no, I'm going to do this.
Right.
You know, like, and it's like, well, you know, you're just kind of spinning your wheels, you know, tried to, you know, head it off, but so no, that's super awesome. So I have to ask though, whenever the board makes the decision, you like going to get a phone call or like a letter that says like, you are the chosen ones, or like
yeah, I think it'll be worded just like that.
Is there like a council involved and, you know, like some formal announcement, like, just kidding.
I think we have to run a gauntlet and then like walk across coals or something.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have to like survive a few days in the Zambian wilderness to prove your worthiness?
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I think they're going to fly a plane over Navarre Beach that says, "We pick you," or something like that.
No, I'm super excited for you guys though. I'm anxious for that decision for you. So.
Oh man, yeah. Like I'm ready. I just want to know so we can take the next step. So.
Yeah.
All right. So anything else happened in 2022 that you guys want to share about?
I guess God kind of like solidified in my heart that I want to help homeless people and kids who are hurting and all that in my area. That was a big one. That was a big thing that came back from, like when I came back from Zambia, there was a couple instances where I ran into some of my people on the streets and got to like share the gospel with them and all that. And that was just like validation for me, which was pretty cool. And yeah, the whole Isaiah 117 house that I've kind of mentioned, I really want to do that. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, that's cool. I do think that's something else for all three of us that I've seen in 2022 is the way God has just been moving each of us into areas of ministry and opening some more opportunities for each of us. And so I'm excited to see how that continues to grow as well.
Yeah, me too.
It's definitely. All right. Well, thanks for listening. And thanks for listening. We're dropping new episodes every Monday. So be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss an episode. You can also connect with us on social media. Check out Twitter, Deed_Truth, or on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube by searching the Deed and Truth Podcast. You can also check us out on our website, deedandtruthpodcast.com, where you can leave us a review or even a voicemail. We'd love to hear from you. All right, until next time.